Okay, people, you've seen the preamble and the scope. Lawyers' responsibilities. Okay, these are a bunch of laws. Remember, these are the requirements of the oath. Look up the basic, the oath of public service as well as the oath of office that lawyers take. But look up the oath of public service. But so this is their legal obligations behind the Constitution. So not doing any of this is depriving you of your constitutional rights. This qualifies for deprivation of rights, and that's a federal charge if you want to make it that. Okay, so you're going to want to go through the preamble and the scope. So remember, violating any of the rules is depriving you of a constitutional right, because these are all laws. Okay, so I went through preamble and the scope, terminology. So you could literally walk into court and tell the judge your attorney's ineffective assistance of counsel, and instead of saying them not, you're going to use the laws, okay, your constitutional rights. Your Honor, it will be competent if my lawyer was diligent in communicating with me about the fees, the confidential of information. Okay, so they didn't do any of this. So depending on what courtroom you're in, I had a lawyer drop my case because I went over the rules with him, and that's illegal. He can't just quit. He's got to give me time, and he violated all the rules because I was going over it with him. But he said people tried that, and the ARDC won't do anything. So when you cite your attorney for ineffective assistance of counsel, you got to cite him for all these constitutional violations, okay? These are your constitutional rights, each and every one of them. Meritorious claims and contentions, It's rare that anybody comes to court with meritorious claims and contentions. I helped my buddy Bob get back, get his divorce, child custody, wage guarantee, everything just fell into place because he used the rules and the codes, and he didn't even have to use them in court because he just only brought up a couple. Okay, failure to expedite litigation. That usually leads to a lengthy trial, which is a violation of your quick and speedy trial clause. This here is in Illinois, so you can have your case dismissed for them violating your rights to a quick and speedy trial. If you're out on bond, it's 120 days. If they had been diligent in expediting litigation, you wouldn't be where you're at today. Okay, so if you're out on bond, it's 120 days for criminal cases. If you're out on bond, it's 120 days if they don't have your case in court, and they have to throw it out. Dismiss the case with prejudice, so that way they can't bring it up again. And if you're locked up, it's 90 days. And if they don't take you to trial, then the case gets tossed out. It's mandatory. It's the law. Look up quick and speedy trial. Candor towards tribunal. Who does that? Because if there was candor towards a tribunal, your lawyer wasn't candor towards tribunal. If he was, he would have told the judge. But the judge is supposed to enforce these laws. The judge knows this is happening. The opposing party knows this is happening. It says right here, fairness to the opposing party and counsel. So who was fair to the opposing party? That was you. They say, well, counsel, no. How you're aiding and assisting this guy in depriving me my constitutional rights. Candor towards the tribunal, expediting litigation. You took the oath to do this. Violating the oath alone is deprivation of rights. How many counts of deprivation of rights is going on here? What is wrong with you? Okay, so you're going to have to, you read that. Impartiality and decorum towards the tribunal. Most people wind up where they're at is because of the lack of, look up disclosure law. And it's required that they disclose all pertinent facts. And this would be part of it. So this is part of what you should know, but nobody's telling you. And then they'll tell you in a court of law, ignorance of the law is no excuse. Look up ignorance of the law. And they made a law, which is in in the interest of the bar, not in the public interest. And when you read the preamble, line 12, it says that all lawyers and judges are supposed to do what's in the public interest, not parochial interest or self-interest of the bar. And that was in self-interest of the bar. Okay. Special responsibilities of prosecutor. People keep asking me, hey, you know, I got exculpatory evidence. And they asked me if I could find a civil rights attorney. And I told them right here, it says, you know, just read here. It says it's the state's attorney's job. When the prosecutor knows of credible and material evidence creating a reasonable likelihood the person outside the prosecutor's jurisdiction, but it's outside or inside, it doesn't matter. So, but it's their job to overturn a wrongful conviction. Truthful statements to others. They're supposed to make sure everybody coming there, and when anybody makes a statement to get you arrested, you know, makes a carrying call, and you know, there's it's called a probable cause hearing. So if there's nothing there, you know, I've seen. But anyways, you want to get in because nobody abides by the rules of professional conduct or the code of judicial conduct. So it's quite easy to get any. So it's going to have to start with you walking into court and citing your attorney for ineffective assistance of counsel for violating all your constitutional rights here. Okay. So you're going to have to go through this. See, and they could say, hey, well, you know, I was just taking orders, and you know, just taking orders is no excuse for anybody, especially those in a court of law. And you know, unlawful orders, you know, nobody can give them and nobody can take them. You know, and what they can't claim ignorance of the law. And it's saying responsibilities regarding non-lawyer assistance. So anybody that works with them, even though they're not a lawyer or a judge, is still a conspirator in this conspiracy against rights under the color of law. So they can be held responsible as well. Okay, so don't let them go either. Professional independence of a lawyer. You want to read that because I'm telling you, just no matter what you find, you'll always find a whole bunch of stuff you can use, okay? Communication concerning a lawyer's service. Did they communicate any of this to you? See, that's breaking the law, them not communicating with you. And did they ever communicate this to you? Their job description, their legal responsibilities, not just to you personally, but to the public in general. These are the responsibilities of all lawyers and judges. Firms and names, bar administrations, reporting professional misconduct. Okay, nobody does that because it tells you here misconduct is not doing all the above, any of the above. And you can't violate one rule without violating the other, so you can get your attorney for violating multiple rules of the professional conduct. And reporting professional misconduct, it says here, is mandatory for all lawyers and judges. Any lawyer and any judge knowing of any lawyer or any judge violating the rules of professional conduct or a code of judicial conduct is legally required to report that misconduct to the appropriate authorities. Failure to do so is misconduct and creating a conspiracy against rights under the color of law, which is a federal crime. See, people, so it's just, if you listen to them, you'll never hear about it. But just open your eyes to open your mind. You know, stop it. You know, just look up the rules of professional conduct and your state version will come up, or you can use the ABA as well. The ABA model rules of professional conduct is there for all states to use, and they add to it, but they can't take from it. Okay, so remember, these are the responsibilities of all lawyers and judges in a court of law, and that's not happening. So, you know, these are a bunch of your constitutional rights that aren't being done. Okay, so these are not only the laws in a court of law, but violating any of these laws is violating your constitutional rights, okay? So you can tell quite a story just by putting these together. Watch, you just crack it open and it'll explain to you what's behind candor towards a tribunal. A lawyer shall not knowingly make a false statement. But they do it all the time. They will bring Karen call, and then they'll say you'll have to get a lawyer, and then they'll get together and talk about it and not do nothing about it and then give you a continuance. I tried to help people with divorces, and only one couple ever listened to me. And I gave them the rules and the codes, and they went at it with their lawyers about procrastinating. What happened to expediting litigation? Fairness to the opposing party, and they're both looking at each other like, why didn't you tell either? They were yelling at the lawyers in the halls in the courtroom, and I just sat on the bench laughing. I just talked to the lady. She was really pretty and dressed to the T. Everything she was wearing was top shelf, quite expensive. And she thought I was trying to, I guess, get to know her. But I was doing what I always do, helping people out. I've helped people in child court custody. I told you about Bob. I helped my dad get names I could remember. My dad, I had a case thrown out for him on a simple phone call, talking to his lawyer about the rule of professional conduct. And he said, who are you? I said, the opposing party. And in fairness to the opposing party, I didn't know who you were, but somebody's been pushing this case uphill a long way. And if you don't want to get caught up when they kick it downhill, this is what you got to do. And so I started telling him what to do, and he did it. And 2 weeks later, the case was dropped. But I had my dad in the background, and he was upset. Okay, remember, duties to former clients, people, even though your case is over, read duties to former clients, okay? So just because a case is over and it's gone, and there's no statute of limitations on filing for deprivation of rights. There's no statute of limitations filing on a conspiracy against rights under the color of law, okay? So don't just file with your, state agency for violations, because when you file violations for the rules of professional conduct, just look up the rules of professional conduct complaint form or the code of judicial conduct. Look up the code of judicial conduct complaint form. Okay, so it's just, when you cite your attorney for ineffective assistance of counsel, the case will get dropped right there, because the only reason your attorney is ineffective assistance of counsel is because your judge allowed it and the opposing party allowed it by their failure to enforce and report any violations. Remember, it's mandatory for all lawyers and judges having any knowledge. See what? Let's go back down here. Any knowledge. They don't have to be involved in the case. Oops. They just have to have general knowledge. Oh, sorry. Oh, here it is. A lawyer who knows another lawyer has committed a violation of Rule 8.4 or Rule 8.4c shall inform the proper professional authorities. There's no limitations. See, there's no limitations. So any lawyer, and it's, you see all these laws are being broken in a court of law on TV all the time. If you read the rules of professional conduct, I sometimes used to watch court TV with my dad years ago. I don't watch it anymore. And I would yell at the TV, and he would laugh because I would cite all the rules and the codes that they were breaking, and why is this happening? And it even says here, a lawyer who knows a judge has committed a violation of applicable rules of judicial conduct that raises a substantial question as to the judge's fitness. Well, the judge didn't report anybody for misconduct, okay, because nobody was diligent, nobody communicated any of this to you, like I am right now. Okay, so you're going to have to go over the rules, but, anybody, they're not doing it, and I'm just proving it to you, but I want you to prove it to yourself. You know, just go here and read it, you know. And remember, hold them to the letter of the law, and the penalties for the letter of the law are rather harsh. It is professional misconduct for a lawyer to violate or attempt to violate the rules of professional conduct, knowingly assist or induce another to do so. See, so it's, and they don't even have to induce anybody because it's just the general thing. They don't rat each other out. You know, there are no Serpicos. There are no Honorable Frank Serpicos in the judicial system. Otherwise, you wouldn't be watching this video now. Okay? God bless him. God bless Frank Serpico. Communications. See, the solicitation of clients. I remember they finally came up with, you know, law, ambulance chasing you, but it's in the rules. Okay, so there's a lot of things you could use against you. A lot of your constitutional rights are being violated right here alone. Okay, so anytime you mention the rule of professional conduct, you know, to a lawyer, they will get upset because that's their job description, and you're not supposed to know. You know, but if you read the preamble, which you should, it'll tell you they're supposed to educate you about this, encourage you to participate, talks about their honesty, trustworthiness, and how there's, and see, there's a whole lot of stuff they're not doing. So every sentence here is a constitutional right, my friends, all right? Doing my best to look out for you. It takes too long to read this all to you. But I want you to read it to yourself. Plus, people have a tendency of rather listening to their own voice than mine. And I'd rather you do that too. But you need to read this. So I want you to open your mind, but you need to open your eyes first. I want you to find your way into your personal freedoms. And remember, when you do this for yourself, you're doing it for everybody else because you're exposing the corruption in the court. Okay, this is how you take down crooked lawyers and judges. Use their job descriptions, your constitutional rights, and start saying, hey, look look at all these laws they broke, okay? It's not that hard. It's not that hard. If I could do it, you could do it. I've been doing it, but they've been ignoring me for years. But I'm alone in this fight because I always use so many laws, and I always break it down to where what you took from me, what you took from one, you took from all. What you took from me, you took from we. You took from we the people, and I came to get it back. And I need your help. And all you have to do is file on your own behalf and expose the corruption in the courts. And that starts with citing your attorney for ineffective assistance of counsel. God bless you one and all. May your Creator always be with you and rain many blessings. I wish you a long life and good health. Peace and happiness, joy and love.